Welcome, lords and ladies, back to the realm. I am your humble host, the Goat King, and today we return to the Adventurers Across Golarion series with the Mwangi Explorers and their expeditions into the Mwangi Jungle, more formally known as the Okata Drainage Basin, a tropical jungle surrounding the inland sea, Lake Okata, and fed by the rains brought by the Eye of a Bendigo. I do want to take a moment to say I'm probably going to mispronounce a great many names today. It'd be helpful if Paizo had pronunciation guides for some of these names. The Mwangi Jungle is a vast and mostly unexplored place, but it isn't unoccupied. Hidden in its depths, many settlements exist, populated by the full variety of the people that call Garund home. The jungle is also very difficult to move through. The most competent explorers struggle to travel more than 10 miles a day. Even river travel is slow as both rapids and sandbars impede movement. Professor Moat, a ratfolk investigator, only has permission to spend 3 months on expedition, though he will be back next year just as he has been for several years now. Even if he's only given a short time to explore, this deal is one he finds quite agreeable. The stipulations: that he keep strict records of the journey, that the Magambia have first right to purchase any artifact he collects, and that he bring a student of the Magambia for training, have all been rather helpful. Shishira, the student he's brought the last few years, has provided stunning insight. Being able to sell the artifacts to a prestigious school without having to painstakingly ship them back to Absalom first? Pure business genius. And the record keeping? Moat is a note-taker by nature, but having his explorative journals backed by the Magambia lends him a level of credibility most scholars spend their whole careers building. In part, this is why Professor Moat avoids sites frequented by other scholars. Not only would it be difficult to dust out any significant details not already discovered, but Moat's own records would testify to the legitimacy of those other discoveries. No, Moat would be better served and of better service if he hunted less frequented mysteries. This rules out an expedition to 7th Yi, an ancient Aslanti fortress built to guard the entrance to an underground city, reportedly home to malevolent serpent folk. The fortress is swarmed over by easily a half-dozen expeditionary forces. Spiro is also out of the question. This finely crafted stone fortress is now home to gnolls from Katapesh, who wish to claim the area for their nation. They likely wouldn't be too friendly to strangers claiming the authority of the Magambia Academy. Key to planning this expedition is Beetle, a Gripply barbarian. He has spent nearly his entire life in this jungle. He takes on the job escorting foreigners for one simple reason: it is easy to make a bad person disappear in the Magambia jungle. Beetle protects this grand place, his home, from those that would exploit it. But this is Beetle's third expedition with Moat, who seems like a decent person in Beetle's estimation. The time when Beetle would have abandoned Moat in a sinkhole is long past. Even so, Beetle makes a point to steer the professor away from communities that just want to be left alone. The Colossus of Senbaji is a 200-foot-tall statue with 6-fingered hands and blank stone where the face should be. The local Zenge people believe the Star Watcher to be a guardian sent by Desna. A recent discovery by one Dr. Marhelm, a dwarf archaeologist, of metal just under the stone caused the Senbaji people to expel the archaeologist. They have refused requests to examine the statue ever since. The lost city of Ird is a harder one to protect, mostly because there might be nothing left. Rumor says old mage Yatembe is from the city and destroyed it because of the harsh society within, one where mages ruled over a population of slaves. The lost histories and secrets attract many scholars and explorers, but locals would prefer the city never be found. The river Mier is not only protected by gnolls wielding fine sky metal weapons, but it is also home to a powerful and enigmatic magic. Plants and many animals grow weak in its waters, and at night lights can appear in the sky, producing distant sounds. While the gnolls seek to prevent further examination of these effects, some explorers do get further, and are often found dead. brain removed, or body shattered like falling ice. It didn't take much convincing to warn Moat off of that one. Knuckle, a small gnoll witch, has been friends with Beetle for a long time. This is a fact neither of them would ever admit to a client. Knuckle often joins Beetle's expeditions in a way that makes her seem unconnected. If a nasty end was required, she wouldn't want Beetle facing it alone, despite his experience. With this group, Knuckle joined by befriending the quiet Chichira, and their friendship has grown quite genuine. Knuckle often serves as a buffer between Moat's grand ideas and Beetle's rigid restrictions. Without Knuckle, those two would cheerfully walk into a Grootslang's den. In fact, an early expedition Moat and Beetle undertook without Knuckle led them up the slopes of the Eyrie of Bloodletting Songs, where, surprise surprise, they almost bled to death. Seriously, it doesn't matter what is written on a creepy demon rock, those slopes belong to the grotesque birds and no one else. The forest of Agoiben is one Knuckle was able to dissuade them from. And for good reason. She has heard the stories. A great evil, a spawn of Rovagug, sealed away by old mage Yatembe. This is the reason trees in the area sometimes combust or splinter on their own. This is the reason for the new splitting sickness, which resists all known forms of treatment. The Pyramid of Katumu hasn't been mentioned by Moat yet. Maybe his interest in big fireflies and forgotten gods is outweighed by other goals. This is a good thing for Knuckle. Petty bug gods aren't her favorite summer vacation attraction. Chichira, a Shisk wizard, finds herself ever fascinated by the summer expeditions into the places she never dared go in her adolescence. The professor even seems to value her perspective. She does wish they could take on more exciting expeditions, however. Last year they traveled to Ronage's Circle, a small clearing with a baobab tree at its center, twisted around a sphere of black basalt stone. Sure, the clearing is weaved with powerful protective magic, but protecting what, a polished stone? This year, they plan to seek out Gazra's pool. It's rumored to be a beautiful sinkhole pool, a cenote of unfathomable depth. The professor insists on bringing a load of strange, heavy equipment to find the bottom. All of this for a pool. At least it'll be relaxing. Maybe next year she can convince the professor to seek out the doorway to the Red Star. Imagine it. Something of true magical significance. Magic's lost to time. A circle of red obelisks and knowledge untold. And she could be one of the first to unravel it. But there are things hidden in the jungle no one knows about. A dragon ruling over a demon-infested city no one dare visit. A massive column of ants teaching dark secrets to any who study their movements. Even a lost city filled with once followers of Erodin, stranded after his death. The Mwangi Jungle is a place of deep secrets and even deeper dangers. So what makes our humble party feel prepared enough to risk these expeditions? Professor Moat is an investigator of the empiricism methodology. His mind is a steel trap from which very few things escape. His quick hands are just a consequence of his early childhood in Absalom. He can assure you, those days are completely behind him. 2 decades, 3 years, 4 months, and 5 days behind him, to be precise. Beetle is a barbarian of the snake animal instinct. When he chose to take up the life of a hunter, he needed a model, an inspiration, so he chose the hunter he most feared. It was in this life as a hunter that he realized even the hunter can fall prey to exploitation. Knuckle is a witch, one whose patron deals in curses, and so naturally she takes a liking to them as well. No one is quite sure if the tiny slime she carries with her is a victim of a curse, or if it started out that way. Chichira is a wizard whose primary study is evocation magic. She also puts her uncanny memory to use when she's almost constantly modifying her spells. She chose to minor in the medical sciences on a whim, a very useful whim. Moat, Beetle, Knuckle, and Chichira will probably keep teaming up over the summers, and one day even form a permanent party to explore other parts of Golarion. That's all I have for you today. The character sheets are linked in the description. Feel free to use them, but please change the names. Thank you for visiting the realm. I have been your host, the Goat King, and as always, travel with loyal companions.